What's up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Barbecue, and what I'm going to be making today is going to be some gumbo for a gumbo competition that I have at work in a couple of days. I want to make sure I have this done in advance because gumbo is always better the next day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you guys in so you can take a look at what the ingredients are that I'm rolling with. As I have quite a few ingredients, so I'm going to kind of move some to the side as I go through them. I have some smoked andouille sausage and some grilled chicken that I smoked the sausage and grilled the chicken yesterday. I have my Holy Trinity, and that's equal parts peppers, onions, and celery. My peppers consist of red and green bell peppers. Now, I also have a homemade chicken stock that I put in this wine bottle. And what I did with that was I had, anytime I know I'm going to be using something that's going to require a stock, I'll save my chicken. So basically I just used the remnants from a whole chicken that I cooked and then put in any scraps of vegetables to make that stock. So that's a homemade stock. I have all-purpose flour, that's going to be for our roux. I also have some peanut oil that I don't have here, which we're going to have in the roux. I'm going to be using some sea salt, granulated garlic, cayenne pepper, onion powder. I have some Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, and then I have some Cajun seasoning. So the Cajun seasoning has some things that the Creole seasoning doesn't have, and vice versa. So I roll with both of those. I have a little bit of gumbo file, which we're going to put in later, or gumbo fillet, if you want to say it correctly. Some coarse black pepper. Garlic, I will be mincing that garlic up. And, ooh, it pained me to buy some hot sauce, but I have some hot sauce, Louisiana hot sauce as well. I just didn't have any homemade stuff on hand. So those are our ingredients. The next time you see me, we will be over at the stove and we will be getting this roux cooked to a nice chocolate brown. With 2.5 cups of peanut oil. Now I'm going to be making a couple batches of this. I'm going to put the recipe in the description for just one batch, but I also always like to make extra roux if I'm making it because it's such a painstaking process. So I have 2.5 cups of oil in here. I'm going to go ahead and add 2.5 cups of flour to start with. Now this roux, I always like to start off with some hot oil. This roux is going to take about 35 to 45 minutes. I'm not going to bore you with the entire 35 or 45 minutes, but I always start off with a whisk, and then a little bit down the road I'll work into just like a metal, or not a metal, but I'll move into this a little bit later. And if it needs to get thicker, I'll add a little bit more. As a matter of fact, I always like my roux a little bit thicker. So I'm going to go ahead and add, so I'm going to be starting off with 2.5 cups of oil and a little bit more than 2.5 cups of flour. So let's call that 2 3/4 cups of flour. So I'm going to go ahead and get this kind of stirred in until it gets a dark brown. It's probably going to take about, like I said, 35 or 45 minutes. I will bring you guys in at about the halfway mark to kind of see what we're looking like. So here we are about halfway through the process. We are about a peanut butter brown. So I'm thinking we have probably about another 15 to 25 minutes, just depending on it. A roux is something that you really cannot time. You just have to be on top of it. The longer you're into it, the more you have to take care of it. So at this point, I'm just coming up and checking it every, couple minutes. But the closer I get to that darker brown, the more I'm going to have to kind of look in on it. So I'm going to let this continue going. Next time you see me, we'll be pretty much at the color I'm looking for. Some of my little roux out of that Dutch oven and set it in this pot here. And partially because I need to break this up into a couple different batches. Like I said, I will have the recipe for one batch in the description. So now I got that done. Now I'm going to start tossing in my Trinity, which again is the celery, onions, red bell peppers, and the green bell peppers. And I'm going to let that cook for a while. And I got to make sure that I keep an eye on this because it is at that point where the roux is about as dark as we want that to be. So I'm going to let this cook down a while. When we get back to this, I'll be adding my sausage and we'll kind of go from there. We're at that point. I have these vegetables. They cook down just a little bit in there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my chicken stock, just some of it, and kind of stir that in. Then I'm going to get my sausage in here. All right. And I'm just going to start with my sausage. I'll get to this chicken here in a little bit. I just want to see where we're at volume-wise first. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and let this cook for a bit and see where we're looking, and then if I need to, we'll move to a bigger pot. If not, we'll stay in this one. We've got this kind of to a consistency that I want to kind of stick with for now, so I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic, onion powder, some of this Cajun seasoning, and some of this Creole seasoning. And that's all I'm going to go with for now. I'm not going to add like the salt or any of the heat to it until we kind of get a little bit later down the road and I can see kind of how all this stuff is coming together. So I'm going to let this go for about 45 minutes, and then if needed we will go ahead and add some garlic powder, our salt, pepper, any hot sauce, and then we should be good as far as this goes. We aren't going to work with the gumbo filet until it's all cooked. That's going to be the last thing that we do, and we're just going to put that on top of this gumbo once it's done. Simmering for about an hour and a half. I did add some bay leaves to this as well. I used 4, but like I said, the recipe I'm going to have in the description isn't going to be for a batch this big. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some tomato paste to it. You can add crushed tomatoes if you like. I just don't like having thick kind of tomatoes in my gumbo. So I'll add the tomato paste once we're a little further into the cook, just so I know kind of how it's developing, and then I can adjust how much tomato paste I want to add to it. So in this, I'm just going to add, this is probably for this batch, that's about 1/3 of a cup. So I'm just going to get that in, and I'm going to let this simmer for a while. Now the thickness on this is kind of about what I would like. I am taking this to a gumbo competition at work, and I know that they prefer it thicker, so I may end up thickening this up a little bit more. I may not. It just depends on how I'm feeling, I guess. Anyway, but with gumbo, just have it as thick as you want. You know, you could have it as thin or as thin as you want. It's all personal preference. We're looking like about now. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick taste and kind of see where we're at on it. Alright, so it looks like we have enough salt flavor from the Creole and the Cajun seasoning I added. So I'm just going to hit it with a little pepper. And I am doing this for a competition, so I'm not going to add as much pepper as I normally would. I'm going to hit it with just a little cayenne pepper, again, not as much as I would normally use. And a little of that hot sauce. Now, it pained me to buy some hot sauce. I just didn't have any made, so I'm going to go ahead and add about 1.5 teaspoons of that. Mix this in. I'm going to shut my burner off. Let it kind of cool down a bit. Then I'm going to get into the taste test. Gumbo, I'm going to go ahead and plate it up. I should use a ladle, but I'm being a little lazy. Alright. Let's pull this back and do a taste test. So now it's time for the taste test. I'm going to do this taste test, and I'm going to pack this stuff up in my crock pot and take it to work for this competition. See if I can hold on to my championship from last year. This isn't being judged by people that don't know anything about gumbo. I have somebody from Louisiana that's going to be a judge, same judge as last year, plus somebody from Beaumont, Texas that calls himself a gumbo aficionado. Anyway, I'm not competing with anybody, I believe, that's from, Louisiana or anywhere down there, so that has to be factored in as well. But let's take a taste test, and see kind of what's up. I'm going to throw in a little bit of this gumbo file, or gumbo filet if you want to say it correctly. And then we're going to go ahead and taste this stuff. Definitely taste that smoked andouille sausage that I did a couple days ago. That's coming through. The deepness and darkness of that roux that I did. I really like taking my roux dark. Hopefully that doesn't lose me some points, because I'm not sure if everybody's kind of into that darker type of a roux that a lot of people in Louisiana are used to. But I had to be true to myself on this one, so that's how I did it. The addition of the tomato paste really brought in some excellent flavor, and I'm glad. I almost forgot about those bay leaves. I finally got those in at the last moment. Didn't need any additional salt once I salted it down. That Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning and that Cajun seasoning brought in just enough of that. This is a winner. I do appreciate you stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.